Welcome to week 11 of the college football season. And while that seems like we're really deep into it, there's not much left. We still have 2 months, 2 months of college football action remaining with the bowl season ripe for us in December. Means we have 2 months of action in the unabated DFS Pick'em tool. So I wanted to look today at a couple SEC night games and how I am looking at building my different underdog and prize picks parlays using this tool. So I have selected these two games here, and let's take a look at the edges. Now, not a ton is screaming at me right now. Midweek here, and Underdog has not released a ton of different games or a ton of different props for the games out. But I do think there's a couple things that are really interesting that I would put in right this instant. So, looking at the very top here, Quinshad Judkins with a nearly 26% edge. Guy has been a star in the last few games. Struggled at the beginning. He's come out really strong. And they're feeding him the ball. The problem here would be the matchup. Georgia is obviously a top 5 type team. So how do they play? Vegas has this one as a close one. I'm going to trust the projections that we have out there. And typically with running backs like this, we go a little bit more conservative. Once we hit like that 55, 60% range of usage of rushing carries, we typically stay a little conservative with those numbers. So I do really like this over here of 97 yards on a 71.5 line. And looking again at another running back in another tougher matchup. Bama, a top 10 team, playing Kentucky. Ray Davis is their star running back for the Wildcats. And similar situation with Judkins in that he's been playing really, really well, and he gets a ton of different snaps, ton of different carries here. I like Ray Davis as well. Doesn't project as well as that original Judkins line, but on a 69.5 line, I surely think a guy that's going to get 50 to 60% of touch, those running touches. I really like that number here. Now, this is where Underdog's gotten a little bit tighter on everything. So we talked weeks ago, if you follow me on Twitter, about how this Bowers being out for Georgia is going to impact the offense. Well, there's rumors and a strong thought that he will be playing this weekend. How much? That is a good question. We are projecting him as limited. So we have him seeing maybe 7-8% of targets compared to his typical 20 to 25% of targets. So I think this Oscar Delp line is really a strong line to bet. Even if he was playing full strength, I don't know if this line would be that, intimidating to me. I certainly don't think I would, projection would be higher, that's for sure. But, I don't think it would be that scary of a line if Bowers were to not play at all. I think you still have a shot there. And so I think adding him into the mix makes a ton of sense. Looking at these other Georgia guys real quick, like I said, Underdog has gotten a little aggressive with these lines. We see, Rara, who won some overs on him this past weekend. His line has moved about 7, 8, 9 yards. Let's see here. Doesn't look like that. Ladd McConkey, they put some respect on his name. So we see his number bigger than normal. Same with Dominic Lovett. So we see some interesting lines here. None of these really jump out to me. I'm going to help build let's use this to help build a 5 prop though. And let's go back to the top. So Jermaine Burton under on the receiving yards. Isaiah Bond and Jalen Milroe are all somewhat interesting options here. Ultimately, Jalen Milroe is going to be more often than not, it's going to be throwing around 225 passing yards, hence the line of 224.5. I think Kentucky can slow this game down. I think this can be a slow, gross kind of game where, Bama wins 24-10 type. I think Vegas has Bama at a 28 or 29 implied team total. That kind of lines with that. And ultimately, they like to score on the ground. I think we're going to see some really nice rushing data, or I should say maybe rushing production out of a guy like Jace McClellan, maybe some of those backups. I don't necessarily want to jump like crazy for this under, but I do think if you're rounding out an SEC night game prop parlay, this makes sense, and I would want to correlate it with one of his receivers. Burton is a little bit of a big play guy. His number is slightly higher. Isaiah Bond. These are two guys that his two clear top targets. So it's more of a pick your poison. What guy you like the most here? it is interesting to see this projection only 1.5 yards away compared to the maybe 3.7 yards away. I'll go with what the numbers say and hit it with Jermaine Burton here. So as you can see, the combination here of the correlated Jalen Milroe and Jermaine Burton, the Oscar Delp under due to Brock Bowers returning, and then a couple running backs who are studs, seeing smaller lines due to the tougher matchups against Georgia and Bama. I think all these, though, ultimately are super appealing and going to have me more excited for the games on Saturday, specifically Saturday night. If you want to give this tool a try, check it out over at unabated.com. You get a 5-day free trial. It's Smizz, S-M-I-Z-Z. Give it a shot. Utilize it during college football weekend, NFL weekend. See what you think. And always be sure to provide feedback and let us know what you love about this tool. Enjoy the weekend, guys.